All right, guys. So, as you all know, Cole just dropped 4 different freestyles right before his 41st birthday. And on this channel, we will break down each record one by one. And I'm going to hustle to try to get these out before the fall off drops on the 6th. But before we even do that, we got to start with the entire concept of what Cole is doing here. Because it's not just him rapping over a few classic beats, this is way deeper than that. This is one of the most intentional culture heavy moves that we've seen from an artist in a minute. It seems like people are focusing on some of the wrong things. First off, the theme we've talked about on this channel many times now, which is Cole showing his life in reverse, is clearly still ongoing. And I don't think enough people are realizing how he's using this theme as a time machine, not just a gimmick, because on the surface, yes, it's 4 freestyles, but in reality, this is Cole trying to pull hip hop backwards to the moment that made not just him, but many of us fall in love with the genre in the first place. What I really think we're getting on these 4 instrumentals is a 2002 to 2005 Cole, the version of him long before he was signed. This is where I feel the track 2 Diss 2 single for the Fall Off is really important because depending on how you watch that video, in reverse or forwards, it ends 2 completely different ways. Either you're rewinding back to before his life even starts, or you're watching it land at his death. And just think about life and death and hold on to that. On this tape, he's going in on 4 bad boy instrumentals, and I believe this was very intentional. And I can't help but think about Biggie's iconic double album, Life After Death. Cole is quite literally saying over a Biggie associated instrumental that he had to die and come back to life, and it's assumed that the Fall Off is a double album. There's even a moment where he says he feels like Christopher Wallace came down from the heavens and wrote the verse for him, and the victory instrumental he's rapping on is literally Biggie's last ever recorded verse. I think he's bringing you back through his life. Like right now, this is the early days before he was signed. Like this is the era of J. Cole where he really fell in love with hip hop. One of the best indications of this being the case is the fact that we already have an old J. Cole video where he's freestyling over that exact same victory beat. I think he's taking us back because remember on the Fall Off trailer, he specifically said that he wants to do on this album what he couldn't do on his first. People need to understand that this album is a decade-long plan. To think he's going to make this project about Drake or Kendrick or sparking some insane round 2 battle doesn't seem to make sense, in my opinion, at all. Here's what I think he's doing. We got a double album coming from Cole, and for anyone that made the prediction that Disc 1 will be called It's a Boy, I think you were bang on. Think about Illmatic, the classic that Cole wanted for his debut album. What's on the cover? It's a Boy. Think about Ready to Die, Biggie's debut classic. What's on the cover? It's a Boy. So I think It's a Boy is going to be a classic in the sense that musically it's going to be amazing, but 2, I think he's going to bring us back to the golden era of hip hop on that tape. He's going to be rapping over classic samples, instrumentals, using like little drum patterns from maybe the 80s or little pieces of Slick Rick, stuff like that. That's exactly what he's doing on these freestyles, and we already know he's coming fully loaded with a snippet that he already shared where he's using Drop a Gem on him from Mobb Deep, and I'm assuming that cut will be on Disc 1, It's a Boy.
Come view the style of the unibrow Unabomber, who maneuvered through the drama with the suit up.
I'm not 100%, but I think I could kind of see where he's going. On the tape, we got the legendary DJ Clue, and if you're from the East Coast or you know your history, you already know what that means. In the 90s, when you talk about East Coast mixtapes, Clue was dominant. He was that guy, and he was probably one of those people that Cole always dreamed of working with when he was a boy, because back then, most rappers from the East Coast wanted to be on one of those tapes. Now, you can't summarize Clue's importance in one sentence. That's literally a whole other video. But the fact that Cole chose him specifically is really telling. And the way he tied this concept together is crazy. The name of the tape is Birthday Blizzard 26, and that is not random at all. It's a direct callback to DJ Clue's Birthday Blizzard 96. Now here's where the story gets impressive. DJ Clue was born on January 8th, and during his birthday week in 1996, New York got hit with a blizzard, over 20 inches of snow, and the city was basically frozen. At the time, this was a big deal. This is like a historic blizzard in New York.
Burying New York and paralyzing the metropolitan area.
The extent of the snow, it's an enormous storm all along the entire coast.
And instead of letting the storm kill the vibe of his birthday, Clue cemented that moment in time because he dropped the tape called Birthday Blizzard 96 as the city was literally digging itself out of snow. The title Birthday Blizzard, that's just not a random name, right? Like that title is a part of New York culture. Like that's like a time capsule for that moment. Now fast forward 30 years later, New York gets hit again, and now it's Cole's birthday.
Thousands of flights have been canceled already as the storm.
J. Cole is someone who has a home in New York, and he's there for this blizzard because he clearly talks about it on this release.
New York City is crazy outside right now. It's cold as fuck.
So think about how poetic that is. Clue was in a blizzard on his birthday in 96. Cole was in a blizzard on his birthday in 2026, both in New York, and Cole brings Clue with him to host the tape. But there's one more thing I found, and I think it's like a cool thing to bring up. The whole premise with Cole right now is going backwards in time, and crazy enough, when DJ Clue first came into the game, when he dropped his first tape, he labeled it as number 26 on purpose, not because it was actually his 26th tape, but because he wanted people to think he'd been in the game for a while, like he was already established. I'm not sure if Cole was aware of any of that, but like I know he's a huge fan of that type of shit. I think when he finds out, if he does find out, he'll love it. Another layer comes into play when you consider that J. Cole's first song that he ever wrote was called The Storm, and this is something he's even mentioned recently.
Revenge is coming, no way to escape the storm.
I don't know if he tried this or not, but he's got a track called Winter Storm on the mixtape. His first record was called The Storm. If he's going back in time, like that's just the perfect fit that it ties perfectly into the first record he did. The artwork makes it all the more impressive. When you look at Cole's cover, it is directly inspired by DJ Clue's Desert Storm 98. You could see it in the details, the phone number, the DJ Clue, the branding, even the font. His team really nailed this throwback design. It even looks and feels like something from that era. Then you've got the Cole-specific layer, which is his childhood home on the cover, buried in snow, which ties right back into the entire birthday blizzard concept. And the fact that he grew up in that house listening to the artist on this tape. And there's another detail that's subtle but really important. The era that Clue came from was when mixtapes were still showing up on cassettes, but slowly started to transition to CDs. So when Cole is showing his life in reverse, it makes perfect sense that in that room, you see both tapes and CDs floating around, almost like different eras are stacking on top of each other. With that said, let's talk about the actual Birthday Blizzard 96 tape. Because if you want to understand what J. Cole is doing, you have to understand what that 96 tape represents. That tape is full of legendary content, and everyone was in pure competition mode. Everybody was trying to prove something. Everybody was trying to out-rap the next guy, not for engagement or clout or a viral clip, just because that's what hip-hop was. We got this old, grimy sounding original Dead Presidents from Hope. Keep in mind, this Clue tape came out on January 8th, and the OG Dead Presidents came out as a single around 5 weeks later. What you're hearing is an original, grimier Dead Presidents before the world even knew who Jay-Z was or what he was about to become. And of course, J. Cole also went in on this instrumental on the come up.
Give me my money, man. Why else would a nigga be grinding?
He actually did it twice because he did it again on the warm up.
And all these hoes, Seikos, wanna text us like Waco.
And again, J. Cole is huge on shit like this, right? Like following omens and signs and like signs from God. Like, you know, he's read The Alchemist. He said he loves that book. Definitely read it. Something else we see on this tape is literally one of my favorite instrumentals of all time. And this is the Worldwide Joint by Royal Flush.
Broke, no joke. You just a boy, you not bad enough to compete. To challenge us.
The context of where hip hop was at during this time is important because Cole is doing everything he can to show you why he fell in love with the genre and trying to remind you why you fell in love with it too. People are getting caught up trying to pin which rapper he's dissing, but the real message is clear as day. He's calling out the rot in hip hop, people not writing their own bars, bots inflating streams, artists chasing fame, a culture where the fans and media obsess over slop, gossip, and nonsense, everything except the actual music. Big Daddy Kane summed this up perfectly when talking about J. Cole's apology and how the fans acted during the battle.
As I watched the Drake and Kendrick battle unfold, I had so much respect for Cole's decision. I don't feel like the fans were enjoying the battle. I think the fans were taking too much time trying to fact check what they're saying.
Right. And look, that was me, right? Like that was my whole channel. I blew up from the beef, but like at a particular point I had to zoom out and ask myself, like, is this really all you're capable of? Because I do think and know that I have more to offer to hip hop than just that. In 96, everyone on this tape is staking their claim and trying to prove something. Foxy Brown is talking her shit.
Bad girl of the year, 96 Kim Graham.
Lil' Kim follows it right up.
Girl, I'm a bad girl, the high-pitched queen bitch.
You got Prodigy going stupid.
Karate, it's doing Gotti. Yeah, lift the weight, me annoyed. Attempt starve it down on the plate.
You got Ghostface telling these raw street stories.
Yo, I know a rich kid who got hit for 3 bricks, showing off his 850 plus with a nice whip.
And pretty much everyone across the board had the same mentality.
Ain't nothing better than the shit I got.
I won't paint everyone with the same brush, but I think we can all agree that wanting to be the best rapper or the most skilled rapper is just not something that a lot of people care about anymore. That era of hip hop is basically the opposite of everything Cole is criticizing today. Back then, the internet wasn't running the culture. There was no timeline or engagement to farm, no algorithm rewarding you. If you were a dick rider or a stan, you'd probably get smacked upside the head for it. The social currency wasn't who could trend, it was who could rap, and that's the main point I think he's making, because back then there were no bots, there were no fake streams, there was no streaming at all. You couldn't inflate numbers and then pretend it meant something. The proof was in real life. Award shows or Super Bowls weren't on the scoreboard either. Respect didn't come from trophies, it came from your reputation. Who had the hardest verse? Who had the best freestyle? Who could walk into a cypher or a radio show or show up on a mixtape and leave absolutely no doubt? On these records, that's what J. Cole is doing. People keep saying that J. Cole apologizing in the battle means he's not real anymore, that he's fake. But when you look at the context of that battle, the motives for why it happened, the things that were said, the bots, the lies, the gossip, the way the fans turned it into an investigation, the way that media and creators ate off the drama and gossip of the battle for nearly 2 years, that's not the hip-hop that J. Cole fell in love with. In fact, to him, he doesn't see that as hip-hop at all. Just imagine this. Imagine we walk back into 1996 and we're in a room with all the MCs that were on that 96 Clue tape. Everybody's in here. They're all rapping. It's complete magic. But now we're going to go back in time and we're going to fill them in on hip hop in the future. We get them to stop what they're doing and we tell them, listen, in about 30 years, hip hop is going to be so big that the music won't even be the main focus anymore. Busta Rhymes is looking at you like you're crazy. Then we tell them, look, in the future, you're going to have failed D-list rappers making full careers off dick riding and hating, not because they have something to say, but because that's how they get engagement and get paid. Now we've made them even more confused. Then we tell them, but wait, here's the wild part. People won't even be talking about the actual records like that. The focus won't be on the music at all. It's going to be on gossip, rumors, screenshots, narratives, who unfollowed who, and people will be obsessed about who is talking about who in every single bar that you write. And now the room is starting to get a little bit quiet. From here, one of them asks if battles are still around, and now we got to break it to them. Yeah, battles, they're still here, but a lot of them aren't even organic anymore. Sometimes it's like a group chat rollout. They make up the battles just to market themselves because the goal is to control the moment and farm the algorithm. Ghostface starting to tweak out, right? Like, what the fuck is an algorithm? And we can't lie to them, so we say, yeah, the algorithm, these are literally robots in the future. These are systems designed to decide what's popular, and artists will learn how to game them. People will start using these bots to make their music look bigger than it actually is. You're going to have fake plays on your music, and that will be treated like it's reality. Sadly, we got to hit them with the part that really insults art. I know this might be a tough pill to swallow, guys, but you're going to work on a project for a year, maybe even 2 years, and a guy on the internet will listen to it one time, turn on a camera, and give it a light 5, and people will treat that opinion like an actual cultural verdict. They're starting to get pissed now, right? But the next part's going to make them even more angry. By the way, guys, in 2026, everybody acts like the Grammys are actually cool. People obsess over these trophies. Whole fan bases melt down over who wins. And if you ask them if the Grammys changed, the answer is no. It's still political. The only difference is it only becomes rigged when their favorite loses. At this point, they've kicked us out of the building. They're telling us that that's not real hip hop. Like, that's not why they got into it. And it's not why J. Cole got into it either, which is why he had to return to baseline on why he started in the first place. Back to the original reason he started rapping. Because why should J. Cole care about people on the internet trying to apply OG hip hop rules to a genre that's basically morphed into something completely different from what he fell in love with? Half of the rules that people argue about online aren't even about music anyways. It's about optics and narratives and Grammys and whatever's trending this week. And to be clear, I don't think this is Cole saying we need to go back in time and make everything like the 90s. I think what he's really saying is this is the version of hip hop where he found himself. That's the world he grew up idolizing. That's the version of the game he wanted to earn respect in. So he's going back to that moment, not to cosplay in it, but to reconnect with what mattered. I'm actually shocked that not a single rapper has decided to go in the booth and jump on one of these instrumentals to rap with Cole. If you're a rapper and you take yourself seriously, how are you not motivated to rap on one of these beats? Because if you don't get that feeling, at the end of the day, all you're doing is proving J. Cole's point right. If you put gossip and drama to the side, I'm curious who could actually rap with J. Cole in 2026.
Ha, bitch, I'm about to blow up. Say what? Bitch, I'm